Good afternoon, everyone. The City Council of the City of Sacramento will come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ashby is expected momentarily. Councilmember Laloe is expected momentarily. Looks like Councilmember Laloe is joining us now. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Here.
Councilmember Chenier.
Here. Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gatta.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
Here.
Mayor Steinberg.
I'm here. Let us begin with the land acknowledgement. Is the Vice Mayor on the Zoom yet? If not,
She is not.
I'm ready this time, Mr. Mayor.
what's that, Councilman Guetta? You ready this time? Why don't you?
Yes, I got Matthias on to nap before this meeting started. So.
Mayor Pro Tem Guetta, would you do the land acknowledgement and the pledge of allegiance, please?
Yeah,
and Mayor, could I make a request of the city clerk that she put the land acknowledgement in the agenda so that it's readily available for people to take a look at?
Great idea.
Okay. Please rise for the opening and acknowledgement in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patmanwintu people, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people, history, contribution, and lives. Thank you, everyone. And if everyone could please stay rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Guetta. Members, let us begin. I'm going to turn back to Councilmember Guetta for a very special recognition, the 22nd anniversary of Rosa Parks Day.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I want to acknowledge my colleagues who have agreed to co-host this with us. If those remember that, this coming Friday, February 4th, is the 22nd holiday in honor of our civil rights leader, Rosa Parks. And pre-COVID, we would get together, I think last time, with the school bus, that big old blue school bus, or a public bus, not school bus, but the RT bus that we've had in practice, and we had it at the MLK March here. But because of COVID, we're doing all of this virtual. And as you know, that Rosa Parks laid the foundation for equal rights for all Americans and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. She's honored as the mother of modern day civil rights movement due to her refusal to surrender her seat to comply with the Montgomery segregation law. Now, Rosa Parks' arrest for refusing to comply with the Montgomery segregation law was the impetus for a boycott of the Montgomery buses led by Dr. Martin Luther King and approximately 42,000 African Americans for 381 days. Now, that level of commitment was significant to make that change. And it led to the significant ruling of Broughton versus Gale in 1956. This month is Black History Month, and honoring Rosa Parks is just one of the important historical leaders that we want to celebrate. And to do that today, we have three leaders here: Michael Harris, Lisa Baker, and Claudina Beezer. So let me first start and pass it over to Michael Harris. Michael, I think, are you unmuted now? There you go. Well, we can see you, Michael, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
There we go. We can hear you now. Thank you.
Michael, you're on. You got a couple minutes. Please, welcome to you. Michael?
I don't know what's going. Can you hear me? I can't. I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's pass it over to Lisa Baker first, and then we'll go from
But
there.
it's okay.
It's okay, Michael. It's good to see you. Put yourself on mute. It's great to see you.
We'll go to Lisa Baker here.
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't show Lisa Baker online.
Okay, then let's go over to Claudina Beezer here.
Claudina is also not online.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate all your work out there. I know normally we do this together. Thanks, everyone, for this. Let me pass it over to my colleagues, Mr. Mayor, and if you have any comments.
Yeah, no, I mean, just thank you for finding any occasion to remember Rosa Parks and the civil rights movement. That's good enough. That is good enough. And so I'm going to take, so here's what I want to say. This is, I'm going to recommend a book to you all. You must read the Taylor Branch 3-part trilogy on the civil rights movement. It starts with Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. You will never regret reading these 2,500 pages. It will inspire you in your current activism, all members of the community. It's that powerful. And that's my recommendation. Go ahead, Councilman Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a quote to Rosa Parks that she said that has helped to change my life, and I'm sure the life of many other people who have read that quote. And her quote was very powerful in that she said, "You must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right. Each person must live their life as a model for others. I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so that other people also would want to be free. I knew someone had to take the first step, and I made up my mind not to move." So I just want to read that quote because it's powerful that when you're doing something that is right, you should not be fearful when you are doing the right thing. And she did the right thing and made history for a lot of us who understand now what we need to do in order to take the first step to make change and impact change. So I just wanted to say that quote because our speakers couldn't speak, but I know that they would want to say what Rosa said is why she did what she did. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Rick. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Guetta, Mayor Pro Tem Guetta, for bringing this forward. Thank you, Michael Harris, and all the members of the community who.
Mr. Mayor, we have Councilmember Vang, and then we do have Ms. Beezer who's on.
Okay, let's hear from Councilmember Vang and Ms. Beezer, and then we'll move on. Go
Thanks,
ahead.
Mayor. I'll keep this short. Just want to thank Councilmember Guerra for bringing this item for recognition. Today also marks a really special day as well. It is February 1st, and it marks the first day of Black History Month as well. And so just really want to take this opportunity, one, to say thank you to Councilmember Guerra for bringing this item to full council. I also have a middle school in my area named after Rosa Parks as well. We have a middle school right here in the heart of Meadowview as well. But just want to say, you know, may we recommit ourselves every day, not just on February 1st or this month, but that we recommit ourselves every single day, 365 days a year to Black history, to Black voices, and to Black lives. So thank you so much, Councilmember Guerra, and thank you, Mr. Harris, and all of our amazing community advocates on the ground, fighting on the front lines every single day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, Ms.
Beezer's here online.
Ms. Beezer, are you here? Please, let's hear from you. Please.
Fantastic. Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me, elevate my voice. Unfortunately, Michael and my colleague couldn't. Technology was being challenging. Here are some of the things I'd like to say, and the councilwoman before me touched on a couple. Today is the beginning of Black History Month, and for that we celebrate. But did you also know that today is National Freedom Day? I don't know how many of you know. This is the day that the good president signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and we are looking at, this thing we now call 2022 and the world we get to live in. We are looking at bringing forward a whole conversation around Rosa Parks. But we also need to remember that her life didn't begin, her contribution didn't begin when she refused to give up her seat. She came from a family of advocates, and she continued her advocacy work long after the boycott and the bus issue and stuff like that. So also notable is our California Rosa Parks Day is the oldest in the country. Ours is the oldest. And I think that's something important for us to highlight because diversity, improvement, growth, change, and sustainable change based on that grassroots bubbling up and that energy and that collaboration, it's important for us to remember and talk about that. I'd also like to mention our vets, our Black vets. This month's edition of the VFW's Global Magazine, they're highlighting our African American vets. One of the key things that we wanted to highlight for the council and those of us listening in is the fact that we have a lot of energy around advocacy for our vets. For instance, would you believe, and I'm going to tell you this amount, listen to this. Let me get my notes right. 10.2 billion, hold on, billion with a B, let me put my mask back on, with a B, was recovered in fiscal year 2021 on behalf of our African American vets. And this was done by our National Veterans Association based on Capitol Hill. Some of the things that they were able to recover that, of course, factors into this, hearing aids, a lot of issues and supportive monies having to do with behavioral health issues. There was even a homeless vet that ended up with $250,000. And he ended up buying a home and other things that allowed him to move forward. Why is this important?
Ms. Beezer, I'm gonna ask you if you could wrap it up, please. Appreciate it. We gotta.
No problem. Yes, I know you need to move forward.
Yes.
This all points to and continues to highlight the need for us to continue to do exactly what you're doing, Mr. Mayor, and council and others listening in, is to continue to elevate voices that are generally and historically marginalized and partnering with us to move forward. To contact the National VFW, they can be reached at www.vfw.org/NVS. Thank you for the time and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming today. All right, members, let's move now to the consent calendar and ask whether anybody has any items they would like to take off the calendar.
Mayor, I'd just like to make a quick comment on item 8.
On item 8, okay, of course. Anybody else? Let's take a motion and a second on the consent calendar then. And
So moved.
Second.
moved and seconded. Very good. Councilmember Valenzuela, item 8.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly thank the Department of Utilities and the other teams that worked on this local hazard mitigation plan. The new action that the city is adding in this item is enhanced public education and awareness of natural hazards and public understanding of disaster preparedness. So I like to think, like, if I ask any of you on the screen, how would you get out if there was a flood warning tonight? How would you get out if you didn't have a car? How would you get out if you didn't speak English and maybe couldn't tune into the normal channels to figure out where to go? I just think we have a lot of room to grow in our community in terms of making sure everybody knows how to be safe. So I'm really excited that this item is being added and really hope that we'll all work to support the Department of Utilities team and others in making sure this information gets out and our community is prepared for disasters. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, council member. All right, is there public testimony on the consent calendar?
Yes, Mayor, I have 2 hands raised. The first is Daphne. Daphne, if you'll unmute.
Yes, I'd like to have the city council expand a little bit more on item number 3 on this consent calendar prior to approving it as approved. And also the grant that is listed on item number 4 as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker is phone number, last 4 digits, 4366.
Hello, yes. I had my hand up for the part about Mrs. Rosa Parks.
Yeah, it's too,
And-
Lambert, we're done with that item. Thank you, sir. But go ahead.
Well, I had my hand up to speak on it. I won't even take a minute. I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Guerra because Mrs. Rosa Parks is an iconic figure in Del Paso Heights. She's just an iconic figure, and I wanted to thank him for bringing that forward. That's a very kind gesture on his part. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Okay, I want to be responsive to a member of the public who asked a question. I think we should answer it. And that is briefly, a very brief explanation on item 3 and 4 from the staff, and then we'll vote on the consent calendar. Just what is it? Anybody?
Mr. Mayor, this is Chris Costamani. I could speak to item number 4.
Go ahead, sir.
Item number 4 is the non-disaster grant that prepares our urban search and rescue team. That's one of 28 FEMA urban search and rescue teams in the country. It pays for our training and labor during the year to be ready for any type of deployment. And then when we're deployed, we're paid by other FEMA funds during the period of deployment. So this $1.3 million pays for the warehouse, the training, and the readiness of the urban search and rescue team, which is 200 members.
Okay, so it's preparation to be sent to disasters in other parts of the country or other parts of the state, right?
It could be here for a flood, or we could go like we did to Oklahoma City in 9/11. So
Okay,
yes,
and it's federal money.
yes, sir.
Good. That sounds like a very worthy investment of federal and even local funds. Thank you. Item 3, who can just give a brief synopsis of item 3?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Stacy Hesse. I'm your Chief Investment Officer in the Treasurer's Office. And item 3 is just a monthly recap of all the transactions that take place in the Treasurer's Office, and it does appear on the council consent item every single month.
So if the member of the public wanted to access the specifics of the report, they could just go online and access it?
Yes, the agenda item will detail every single transaction in every portfolio for the month.
Good enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's call the roll on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a motion by Councilmember Valenzuela and a second by Councilmember Chenier. Vice Mayor Ashby?
Why don't we come back to the Vice Mayor, please?
Councilmember Laloe?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Councilmember Chenier?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings?
Yes.
Councilmember Vang?
Yes.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right. Councilmember Vice Mayor Ashby, are you online?
Yes.
So you might be marked as a yes on the consent calendar then.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Thank you. That passes then 9-0. All right, let's go to the public hearings. We've got 2. One is a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing. Is this Director Dozier?
Yes, it is. I'm here with Christine Weicker. She's going to do the presentation on this project.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Good evening. The report before you requests approval to issue mortgage revenue bonds for the River City Trio. River City Trio is a preservation project as HUD has extended the Housing Assistance Payment or HAP contracts to allow Vitus Group, the developer, to secure funding to acquire and substantially rehabilitate the development. River City Trio consists of 3 scattered sites. The 1215 D Street property currently consists of 24 1- and 2-bedroom units. However, as required, a 1-bedroom unit adjacent to the existing leasing office will be converted to a community room for residents. The 2410 C Street and the 2517 C Street properties each provide 16 1- and 2-bedroom units. Each of the 3 sites consist of 2 2-story garden-style residential buildings. The scope of work will include kitchen and bath remodels, LED lighting, ADA upgrades, new HVA systems, and we've just asked the developer to look into converting the units from gas to electricity if financially feasible. Exterior renovations will include repair and painting of existing stucco, replacing windows, roof and new waterproofing, irrigation, and landscaping. All residents will be provided temporary relocation assistance during rehabilitation. The financing structure of the project includes 4% tax credits, tax-exempt mortgage revenue bonds, a conventional loan, and deferred developer fee. In addition, the project will have a new 20-year HAP contract from HUD, which will provide residential income to assist with rents paid by residents. Vitus Group is an experienced owner of over 100 affordable and market rate developments throughout the nation, but this is their first in Sacramento. Aperto Property Management is the proposed property agent, and they currently have over 12,000 affordable and market rate units in their portfolio. Resident services will be provided by Embrace Foundation, and they will be required to provide a total of 10 hours of resident services. So in closing, staff is requesting approval of the issuance of the mortgage revenue bonds for River City Trio, and staff's available to answer any questions you may have.
Some background noise there. Is there public testimony on this item?
Mayor, I show no hands raised to make comments on this item.
Okay, Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you, and thank you, SHRA team, for bringing yet another step forward in addressing our housing crisis. I'm a huge fan of purchasing existing buildings to protect affordability. So I want to make super clear, because I got a couple emails asking about displacement, that nobody's going to be forced to leave who's currently a resident of these buildings. It's really about ensuring that we protect them, and as turnover happens, that those buildings may be available at an affordable rate. So with that, I would love to open and close the public hearing and move this item forward. Thank you, SHRA, and also thank you for taking my last minute feedback on gas versus electric stoves. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Madam Clerk tells me that there is one caller now. And since the public hearing has not been closed, why don't we take the caller?
Thank you. Ms. Valenzuela just closed the hearing, but our caller is Lisa.
Oh.
But we still can take them. Lisa Taramonte. Lisa Taramonte, it's your turn to present to the council. It appears we're having technical difficulties. Lisa Taramonte, if you'll turn off the device you're watching the meeting, it's your turn to present. Can you hear me?
Well, I think she just got disconnected.
Lisa, if you'll unmute.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We can. Please proceed.
I just wanted the council. Is that me? That noise?
I think it is.
Mr. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
We're sorry to the caller. It's just a little technology here, but we apologize. That's it. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Mayor, I do need a second on that item.
Jennings will do second.
Thank you, Councilmember Jennings. Vice Mayor Ashby.
Yes.
Councilmember Laloe.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes.
Councilmember Chenier.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Yes.
Councilmember Vang.
Yes.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right. That passes unanimously. The next item, I understand Councilmember Guerra wants to continue.
So the action on this item is to withdraw the public hearing. I just need a motion and a second. We'll take a quick roll.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I'll move to withdraw the item.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councilmember Chenier. Call the roll on, no? I
Yes, I'll second.
read your
Happy to do
mind.
it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Vice Mayor
call the
Ashby.
roll.
Thank you. And I have no callers on this item. Vice Mayor Ashby. Yes. Councilmember Laloe,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela,
Yes.
Councilmember Chenier,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings,
Yes.
Councilmember Vang,
Yes.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to the last item of the evening, and it is item 13, which is the utility stormwater drainage fee measure. Who is presenting on this?
I am, Mayor.
Oh, Bill. Mr. Director, go ahead.
Hang on a second. I just lost my, there we go. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Bill Busaith, and I'm the Director of the Department of Utilities for the City of Sacramento. This evening, we are asking council to pass a motion authorizing a ballot election for a new storm drainage property-related fee. By way of clarification, tonight we are only asking for authorization for the ballot election, not for the fee itself. If we are successful with the election, we will be back to council in early April for final approval of the fee itself. My presentation will take about 15 minutes and some of the information will be review, but I feel that it will highlight the importance and need of the new proposed fee. The city's storm drainage system is a network of storm drains, pipelines, levees, channels, streams, detention basins, and pump stations that work together to provide drainage service. As you can see, stormwater flows into the street drain inlets, then through pipes, and pump stations to a creek or a river. There are three main ways that flooding can occur in the city: from plugged or undersized mains or inlets, from pump station failure, or from levee failure. The City of Sacramento drainage system consists of 137 drainage basins, 82 detention basins, and a combined sewer system. A drainage basin is a collection system within a geographic boundary that collects and conveys stormwater to a pump station or other discharge location. Each one of the colored areas on the map is a separate drainage basin. The area in brown is the city's combined system. On the other hand, a detention basin is a facility that reduces flooding by storing excess stormwater during large storm events and then releasing the stored water back into the system when there's capacity after the storm. The picture shown is one of the detention basins in the North Thomas area. The city's main drainage assets include 105 pump stations, 842 miles of separated drainage pipeline, almost 100 miles of levees, and 76 miles of streams and channels. The city's major combined sewer system assets include Sump 1 and 2, the combined wastewater treatment plant, Pioneer Reservoir, 4 large underground storage vaults, including the recently completed McKinley Vault, and 282 miles of combined system pipeline. In order to maintain the assets in the system and keep things running optimally, DOU currently has 123 full-time equivalent employees, 107 vehicles, and 43 generators dedicated to the storm drainage system. DOU continues to work with the fleet division of the Department of Public Works to appropriately electrify vehicles to reduce the carbon footprint and minimize environmental impacts. In 1993, City Council adopted storm drainage levels of service that include preventing street flooding above the top of curb for a 10-year storm event, which is a storm event that has a 10% chance of occurring each year, and preventing structure flooding during a 100-year storm event, which is a storm that has a 1% chance of occurring each year. Most of our drainage system does not currently meet these levels of service. Many throughout the nation agree that Sacramento has the second highest risk of flooding after New Orleans in the nation. Drainage master plans performed to date have identified about $235 million in needed projects. As the rest of the master plans are completed, we anticipate that this backlog number will increase significantly. Of the 100 or so miles of levee that protect the city, DOU is responsible for operating and maintaining about 25 miles of those levees. If those levees fail, parts of the city will likely flood. Due to the low elevation of the city and the fact that we are mostly surrounded by levees, unlike most systems, almost all of the stormwater leaving the city must be pumped, making the system much more expensive to operate and maintain and improve. It also makes the system very vulnerable to flooding if pump stations are not maintained properly. The Department of Utilities spends considerable resources during the wet season to keep the system operating efficiently during rain events and responding to emergency situations as they arise. The city is at considerable risk if the department becomes unable to perform these functions. Our rivers provide over 70% of our drinking water and are one of our greatest and most important assets. The water quality of those rivers is very important, but is at risk from pollutants flowing into the rivers from the stormwater system. Capital improvements to the system, especially the combined system, will reduce the risk of pollutants and help protect the water quality of our rivers. DOU is spending an increasing amount of resources on cleanup, maintenance, and repair of our facilities necessitated by encampments of our unhoused residents. Juxtaposed with our large capital improvement backlog is the fact that over the years, available funding for capital improvements to the system has been decreasing until it is currently essentially zero. And the little money that we are spending on capital improvements is coming from fund balance. On May 12th, 2020, the city auditor presented the DOU Storm Drainage Fund Review to City Council. The city auditor's review found several key points, including that there are insufficient storm drainage revenues to invest properly in the city's stormwater system, which was valued by the auditor at $8.1 billion. The consultant also recommended a best practice capital improvement program of $34 million annually and found that investing at that level would immediately exhaust all available cash reserves without implementing fee increases. These findings were not unexpected since there has not been a rate increase since 1996. It is also important to remember that because of inflation, what on average cost $1 in 1996, on average costs over $1.80 today. To reduce risks to the storm system, the Department of Utilities is proposing a new storm drainage fee, in addition to the current storm drainage rate that was approved in 1996. The new proposed fee is based on impervious surface area, which has now become the best practice for stormwater fees. Revenues from this fee will be placed in a separate fund to finance capital improvements that will protect drinking source water quality and supplies, reduce combined sewage overflow into the streets, repair aging pipelines and pumps, and generate about 1,300 jobs over the next 10 years. Properties are placed into customer classes based on county property use data. In our residential class, we've created 3 tiers each for our single family customers and our multifamily customers. Each customer class is assigned an impervious surface coefficient that coincides with that property use, and all rates are based upon a rate of just under 2 cents per impervious square foot per year. These are the proposed fee amounts for the residential properties. For each customer tier, the average square footage within that tier was used to calculate the monthly fee. For example, for the single family number 2 category, the average parcel size is 6,618 square feet, resulting in a monthly fee of just under $6 per month for the average single family resident. These are the impervious surface coefficients for the non-residential properties. Non-residential properties are also assessed based on parcel size, multiplied by the impervious surface coefficient developed by the state for that use, which is then multiplied by the rate of just under 2 cents per impervious square foot per year. These formulas constitute best practices in the state. On this slide, you see a hypothetical example of a commercial building on a 53,000 square foot lot, resulting in a fee of $75 per month. The Department of Utilities is recommending including the storm drainage fees into the Sacramento Utility Rate Assistance Program if the ballot measure passes. Currently, there are approximately 8,500 participants in the rate assistance program. The current annual budget is $3.78 million. Participants currently receive discounted rates for water, wastewater, and recycling and solid waste services. DOU will be at budget and audit in early March and April to discuss the structure and budget of the sewer program moving forward. A survey was conducted in September and October of 2021, from which 2/3 of respondents said that they would probably or definitely vote in favor of this storm drainage funding measure. After receiving these favorable results, we proceeded with public informational outreach and the Proposition 218 protest mailer process. Over the past few months, the department has conducted an informational outreach effort, including the Proposition 218 informational and protest mailing to about 155,000 property owners, outreach meetings with business, labor, and community group leaders, 6 live webinars in December and January, advertised by email invitations, social media content, full page ad in Inside Sacramento, digital ads, articles on the city-wide blog, and posts on Nextdoor. DSU staff also worked with the city's community engagement manager to help direct multi-language outreach. The items shown were offered in Spanish, Russian, and traditional and simplified Chinese. Additionally, the fact sheet and frequently asked questions were posted to the dedicated drainage fee website. The Prop 218 protest process requires a mailer to be sent out to all property owners, allowing them to protest the measure. These were mailed to all current DOU customers, stormwater customers, in December 2021. About 2% of property owners in the city that are not currently DOU customers, but will be subject to the new fee, were identified and sent protest mailers in January 2022. The protest mailers included the proposed fee amounts and basis of calculation, the reason for the proposed increase, the time, date, and location of the protest hearing, instructions on how to submit a written protest, and a disclosure that the fee would not be approved or would not move forward if over half the parcel owners protested. Over the course of this drainage fee effort, DOU has conducted 4 updates to the Sacramento Water Committee and 2 updates, 4 rate workshops, and 1 rate hearing with the Utilities Rate Advisory Commission. Significant input was received by these 2 bodies, from these 2 bodies, to make the proposed fee more balanced and equitable. This table shows the number of protests received by protest reason. As you can see, the total number of protests were significantly less than 1% of the total protest of the total mailed. This map and table shows all of the received protests by council district. A rate hearing was conducted on January 26th of this year with the Utilities Rate Advisory Commission. The results of the protest mailer were presented. The public was given an opportunity to provide public comment about the proposed fee, and 3 members of the public did so. The URAC passed a motion approving a recommendation on a new property-related storm drainage fee and ballot election to the mayor and city council. Tonight, we are seeking council authorization for the mailed ballot election. If council approves the ballot election, ballots will be mailed to all property owners between February 9th and February 14th, and the ballots will be due on March 16th. Ballots will be tabulated, and a 50% plus 1 vote is required for the measure to pass. If successful, we will be back to council in early April for final approval of the fee, which we would then hope to have in place by July 1st, 2022. Thank you for your attention. As stated at the beginning, staff asks that council pass a motion authorizing a ballot election for a new storm drainage property-related fee. And now staff is available to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. This is very important. Do we have public testimony on this matter, Madam Clerk? We're not approving anything. Just so the public is clear, this is about authorizing an election so that the people can decide. And that's what Mr. Busey said a moment ago. And so I think the conversation, the debate should be with that very important qualification in mind. Do we have public testimony?
Yes, Mayor, I have 2 callers. The first is Daphne.
Yes, City Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I noticed that the mailer only included approximately 124,000 residents, and I believe we have more than that number of residents within the city of Sacramento. I noticed that when we do outreach, a lot of it goes to the neighborhood associations, but it fails to reach individual homeowners that are outside of that, and they're not given the opportunity to respond to these type of inputs that the city looks for, and I'm not sure why that is. The other concern that I have is a lot of the dollars have been spent on new development and outside of the city of Sacramento or outer regions up in the Thomas and other areas. I think that the usage should be done based on taxation of the system. So if you have a multifamily unit using more sewage and more water, they should be paying more percentages of the fee, not individual homeowners. That's just my recommendation. I think that you need to reassess and relook at the data and provide the mailing list to the public somewhere on the website. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Stephen Maviglio.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you. I think there's no disputing the need for these projects here, and Council members Harris and Vang did a great job at the webinar the other day describing them. But I think what is disputable is why we are enacting a new tax during a pandemic. I mean, look around. Businesses are closing. Low and middle class families are struggling. Inflation is raging. The cost of rent and housing in the city has gone through the roof. And yet here again, another meeting, we're paving a way for another hike in what it costs to live in the city. I went to these seminars and I noted that according to the department, this new tax is not even needed for up to 5 years. None of these projects are considered urgent. They're all necessary, but not urgent. It's being proposed according to the department because there was, quote, political will to do it. But I think here's the political reality. Every citizen who expressed an opinion on this tax in the seminars opposed it, as did the chair of your own utility rate advisory commission. And you just saw on the slide that only 54% of the homeowners favored this fee. And this was proposed even before the President and Congress's Infrastructure and Jobs Act, where there's $55 billion out there for water projects. So we're putting the cart before the horse here. Let's see what the city's lobbyists and the Congresswoman Matsui can do to get our fair share of this money. And then we could go and to renters and businesses and homeowners and ask if they want to pay even more. Or do what one citizen recommended, and was that to phase this in over a period of several times so we're not having a rate shock. timing is everything. Let's put the fee on this for ice on this fee for now and move forward when the pandemic ends. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Hey, why don't we pick it up with that question raised by Mr. Maviglio to Mr. Busaith. Given the amount of federal infrastructure dollars there are out there, which Sacramento is just beginning to compete for. I know I had a briefing today where on the infrastructure bill, the money is not yet flowing because there's a competitive process under the various pots, including the water pots. Why not? How much of it could we make up for with federal grants and either reduce the amount of this requested increase or eliminate it?
Thank you, Mayor. We've been following very closely the federal funding that's going to be available. The funding provides large amounts for communities that need lead line replacements, PFAS remediation, water for American Indian reservations, and drought resiliency. It's almost all focused on water, drinking water, and resiliency and disadvantaged communities for drinking water. We haven't seen any to date that is looks like it's going to be targeted to drainage systems.
Not okay. So that really isn't a possibility.
That again, that's what we're following this very closely and preparing projects, water projects, and drought resilient projects, and improvements to our wells to be funded by that. So far, we're not aware of or have not seen any funding that would be available for storm drainage,
including from the recently passed federal infrastructure bill, the 1.9 was it? How much was it? I don't remember. The $1 trillion infrastructure.
That's correct. That is our understanding, Mayor.
Okay. Let's hear from my colleagues. I've got Councilmember Vang.
Can I make one other correction?
Yes, of course.
The first caller mentioned that we mailed out 124,000 protest ballots. We actually mailed out 155,000 protest ballots to all who would be impacted or by this fee.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Bill for his thorough presentation. And I especially want to thank my colleagues, members of the Water Committee, Councilwoman Valenzuela, and our chair, Councilmember Jeff Harris, who worked really hard to get us to this moment. As you heard from Bill in the presentation, in May of 2020, the city auditor did present a DOU storage drainage fund. Coffee's barking at me. And the report found that the current levels of revenues fall significantly below the funds that we need to properly invest in our infrastructure. As you heard from the presentation, our drainage system is 100 years old, and we have an aging system, aging pipelines and pumps that are deteriorating. And without any source of funding and investment, we do increase our chances of polluting our rivers and water sources. And as you heard from Bill, it's been 26 years since the last drainage rate update. And as you all saw last year, we had heavy rain that led to street flooding in many of our communities, even when our incredible staff was out there hustling last year. At the end of the day, for me, this is really about quality of life and really back to basic of what city government is about. And that means ensuring that our city can protect our water supply and most importantly, provide safe and clean water. So with that, I like to move this item to ensure that we can continue to protect our local water quality in our communities.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm next.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Harris. Go.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Vang, thank you for that discussion. Your points were right on. I'd like to address a couple of things here that may have kind of gotten by several of our listeners. First is that our city is unique in that we are surrounded by levees. We are also at a low elevation, and almost all of our stormwater must flow through our combined sewer system or be pumped out of the basin in which we live. That puts us in a very unique place in America. And it means that our stormwater system is necessarily more expensive than most other jurisdictions. So that's a very big distinction here in Sacramento. We just had an historic storm, a 500-year storm that dumped 5.4 inches in just a little over 12 hours time. Unprecedented amount of water that we received on our streets. And we had to do something with it. I'd like to note that our caller, Steve Maviglio, lives in Elmhurst, and Elmhurst flooded substantially. It wasn't, it didn't last for terribly long, but it was very inconvenient. There were people actually paddling boats and kayaks out in Elmhurst. That is exactly why we need to do an uptick in our storm drainage fund. And as Bill pointed out, in the federal infrastructure money, we need that money for water security. And it really is not going to be accessible for storm drainage. Again, we are in a unique position here. If you look at that, the average bill uptick of $5.40 some cents per month, I get that that's not nothing, but it's also not exorbitant in terms of keeping our city free of localized flooding. We really have to invest in projects like the McKinley Water Vault that probably saved ESAC from major flooding in that last historic atmospheric river. And just to maintain our pumps is very expensive. Look, in the last 26 years, no iteration of this council has had the appetite to vote for an uptick. If they had done it a couple bucks at a time since 1996, we wouldn't be here wrestling with this. But this council has to be bold enough to go ahead and put this on the ballot and let the voters decide. Our constituents have wrestled with localized flooding for years. And because we have a combined system, sometimes that means sanitary sewer outflows, which are more than inconvenient. They're downright unpleasant, especially if you have a basement that floods. It is our job as a municipality to keep our citizens' homes and lives free of this localized flooding. So I would like to second Councilmember Vang's motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any other members? I guess I have one other question, which is just for the members of the public. Last week, I think it was, we voted on utility rate increases as a city council. This is a different measure dealing with stormwater drainage, and it requires a ballot election. Can you explain to the public, please, what the difference is, why we vote one set of proposed rate increases as a city council, but this has to go to the ballot?
Sure, Mayor, thank you. Proposition 218, when it was written in 1996, allowed that water, wastewater, and recycling and solid waste fees could be approved by City Council after a protest mailer process. They set aside storm drainage for some reason as a fee that could not be approved simply by City Council and a protest mailing, but had also needed to be approved by a ballot initiative and be approved by the voters. That's the language in Prop 218. And again, for some reason, they separated out storm drainage from the other fees and required that it be approved by the voters.
Okay, so it was legislative action.
Yep.
That made it distinguished, that stormwater should go to the ballot.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. We've heard the public testimony. There's been a motion and a second. Let's call the roll.
Vice Mayor Ashby?
Yes.
Councilmember Laloe?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Councilmember Chenier?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings?
Yes.
Councilmember Vang?
Yes.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right, that passes, and it'll be up to the property owners, the voters. Thank you very much for your good work, Mr. Busafe.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes the agenda. Is there public testimony on items not on the agenda?
Yes, there is. The first is Matthew Winters.
Hello, Council and Mayor. I'm not seeing a timer, but I'll go ahead and start.
Go.
Thank you. I reside in District 7, and I am speaking with you guys today because I've had some issues in terms of getting enforcement relating to gasoline leaf blowers in my neighborhood. I know that this is probably an issue that you all have heard about many times, and you may hear throughout your day while traveling throughout the city. Specifically, I'm reaching out in regards to the noise levels. City Code 8.68.180 specifies that leaf blowers shall not be used if they are above 65 decibels. I have spoken with homeowners as well as gardeners in my neighborhood, looked up the model numbers, and found them to be far exceeding these decibel levels in almost all cases. I have spoken and submitted complaints through the 311 department, as well as spoken with the case manager for my neighborhood, Sean Bartaw, and basically informed me that there is almost no enforcement for the noise levels. And I'm just hoping for some additional avenues of readdress. In addition to that, I live across the street from Bret Hart Elementary. Currently, they do try and leave their windows open for additional ventilation, and adding to the challenges of hearing and speaking, they have to deal with leaf blowers that are about 85 decibels at times, which is what my neighbor uses. And if you're unaware, decibel levels, as they increase 10 additional decibels, is twice as much sound. So right now there are people operating in my neighborhood that use leaf blowers that are 4 times that size. I do give these folks, they do hard work, and I would just hope that education could be first at the very least, and enforcement later if that does not work. Thank you so much for all of your time.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is a phone number, last 4 digits 4366. Mr. Davis, it's your turn to present.
Yes, I would like to say, first of all, last weekend I saw 2 major accomplishments in Sacramento that I would like to convey to the mayor and the city council. Sunday, my family brought an article to me about something that was a sign of humanity at City Hall. It was an article about City Manager Howard Chan and the president of the NAACP, and they were working together. That's what needs to happen at City Hall. Instead of so much resistance, I saw something in the paper that touched me. This might shock City Manager Howard Chan, but what they did was help save a black senior citizen's home situation. It was very touching to me. It was a very kind gesture on his part and on the part of the president of the NAACP. So I hope it works out for Mrs. Clark. I don't know her, but if she's my elder, I have respect for my elders, just like Chairman Jesus Tarango talks about. And then I want to end by saying that last week, something happened that I've never seen before. A group of millennials, and they were all nationalities, races, cultures. They reached out to me for, I guess it was the big football game last weekend, and the cakes always shine. And it touched them so much that they reached out to me this week, and we're going to do some things. And that's the way it should go. Different nationalities, different races, different cultures working together, because that's the only thing going to change all of this toxic, hostile resistance to race.
Thank you for your
and
comments.
equity.
Your time is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Yes, we're ready to go, Mr. Laloli. Thank you for your call.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Okay, I know that Councilmember Chenier has an important adjourn in memory. Are there council ideas and questions? They've got Councilmember Guerra, Councilmember Vang, and again, Councilmember Chenier. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I wanted to thank all of the volunteers and folks who came out to the Sacramento Chinese of Indochina Friendship Association today at the temple over in Elder Creek. Stockton Boulevard, as many of you know, in District 6 is home to Little Saigon. And it was just a really strong, heartfelt, warm celebration celebrating this Lunar New Year, honoring the Year of the Tiger. And I want to thank them for welcoming us and so many in the community to their temple and wishing us a prosperous new year. It's been a challenging last couple of years. And so the good wishes of this great new year, I think are greatly appreciated. And I also want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year. And we have many languages in our district, so I'll do my best to do this in the languages here in our district. So, for many of our Yumien, like Koi out there, Pengong Siang Hiang, we also have Gung He Fat Choi and Chakmong Namoy, Feliz Año Nuevo y Prosperidad. So a happy Lunar New Year and much prosperity to everyone. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Eric. I join you in that to the entire community. It's a wonderful time of year, a wonderful celebration. I hope we can all be together soon. All right.
Councilmember Vang, maybe you can,
Go, Councilmember Vang, please.
That was great, Councilmember Guerra. So no worries, you were on point. I do just have a request, Mayor, and then also an announcement. One is for matters not on the agenda. As you know, many of our city staff has undergone training to help build capacity and training to begin doing racial equity analysis in the city. And based on conversation from our racial equity committee, per request and direction from our committee, I'd like to request, hopefully with a thumbs up, for all council staff to also take the same gear training. And if my colleagues are okay with this, me, Lainey, and Kelly can begin to really organize this internally. Additionally, often I have shared that even though I am among women and a woman of color, I too have blind spot. And so I also believe it's incredibly important that council members and our mayor also take the training as well. And I know we have to stay within Brown Act and staff will sort that out, but just wanted to make that request. I mean, we do a thumbs up, then that's great. I don't know if this needs to go for a vote, but really hope that all my colleagues would sign on to ensure that all of our staff takes the training. I know that some of our council members, like Allison from Jay Chenier's office, have already taken it. I've taken it as well, and would really encourage everyone, because since city staff has taken it, our council staff should take it as well. So Mayor, I don't know if you want to do a thumbs up on this, but just wanted to run that through my colleagues.
We probably can't take an action here tonight, but yeah, I mean, I think we can.
Yeah, staff had mentioned that I could just make the request, and if it's a go, then they can start organizing internally.
Why don't we start organizing it and get everybody signed up? I
Okay.
think as well. Let's do it. Maybe under the auspices of our committee, we can get our staffs to go door to door.
Great. So is that a thumbs up with everyone? Is that cool? Everyone cool with that? Okay.
I've already taken it to Councilmember Vang, but I'm sure.
Thanks. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Great.
I'm sure you got thumbs up. Yep.
The next item I just wanted to share, Mayor, is I like to invite all of you tomorrow within public health safety orders for an official ribbon cutting dedication for our newly completed kinetic art installation at the Sam and Bonnie Pennell Community Center. Coffee and pastries will be provided, and just really wanted to invite all of you. But wanted to take this moment really to give a shout out to my former teacher and former council member, Larry Carr. I remember working on this project when I was just a staffer in his office. And over the past year, our team has stewarded this project. And I want to give a shout out to Megan and Donald just for all their great work in the city to ensure this happens. Our kinetic arc sculptor, Zach Coffin, will be there as well, former council member Larry Carr. So if you miss him and you want to connect with him, he will be here tomorrow at the Pennell Center. So just wanted to personally invite all of you to that tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then lastly, just I want to echo my colleague, council member Guerra. Today does mark Lunar New Year, but it also marks Black History Month, and just wanting to make sure that we all recommit ourselves to really uplifting and celebrating and recognizing Black history, Black voices, and really Black lives in our community. It's also the year of the tiger, which means it's going to be a year of us being brave and courageous, as we need to have continued bold leadership here on the city council to address all the complex issue in our city. And just really want to wish all of you, my colleagues, city staff, and our residents a safe and happy Lunar New Year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Chenier, is yours and the adjournment memory? Because so I'll go to Councilmember Harris first.
Yeah, I have 2 items, but I'll do it all last.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Harris.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Jay. I'd just like to say to Lambert Davis, I'm really pleased to know that his cheesecakes have transcended color and race barriers. I'm sure that that's the case, and I wish him well in his business. Regarding a comment that we heard, my colleagues know that I was successful in moving forward an ordinance to prohibit the use of leaf blowers on high air quality index days when the air quality index exceeds 100. And we did have a call from a caller about enforcement. The fact of the matter is that we knew all along that to implement that ordinance would be an education campaign at first. And of course, our code enforcement staff is stretched pretty thin, but they have done a lot, and they have reached out to many landscape companies and their practices. And they really have been doing that outreach and education. And I expect that moving forward, we may see some citations issued when people do, in fact, exceed the noise ordinance or use leaf blowers on high air quality index days. But I just wanted people to know that, there is an equity issue here, and we have definitely been trying to educate people who make their living as landscapers that they are in fact exceeding our ordinances, and to help them adjust to our current qualifications in terms of what they can and can't do. Thank you, Mayor.
Jeff, thank you very much. Jay, Councilmember Chenier.
Great, thank you, Mayor. So 2 items first, real quickly. One is concerning the Crocker Art Museum and Crocker Park. Quite a while ago, pre-COVID, I asked for an item in a financing plan to build a garage that would sit alongside a $60 million renovation project and park update by the Crocker. That's obviously outdated because of COVID. The CAMA board, the board of the Crocker, has pivoted into a different type of design for the park and can basically pay for it on their own with the monies that they've raised, but are requesting an MOU with the city along a number of different lines. And I know our staff is working on it, but in this new model that we have, I want to make sure that we're good to go with an MOU that will come back to the council. So I'd like to see if, rather than starting over with a council log request, that we can amend what's there to cover the MOU. So that's number one. I don't know who makes that decision or not. Number 2 is, or I don't know if I want to get an answer on that first. I know Mr. Jasso is working on it.
Sure, council member, and that is correct. We are working on that MOU, so I would not envision. I would defer to the clerk and others, but I would not envision a necessity to restart the clock for the log purposes.
Okay, just trying to play by your rules.
Thank you.
The second piece, again, is similar in wanting to make sure we do this right. We're going to be holding a number of hearings on cannabis. One of the things that I'd like to ask the finance department, and I've talked to Ms. Melstein about this, is to create a model that we could use if we want to play around a little bit with the tax structure for different sectors of the industry. And to be able to do that, I need to put that on the log so she can develop the model that we can then use. So, for example, if we want to do different taxation rates for different sectors of the industry, distribution, cultivation, dispensaries, what would that look like depending on what they are? So something pretty straightforward. I don't think it'll take a lot of time, but I was asked to put it on the log, so I'd like to put that on the log. The other thing is I would like to do an adjourn in memory, and this is for Bill Meehan. And I know that many people on this call have worked with and known Bill or his son Jake for a long time. I was previously on the board of NCCT, an organization that Bill started really to help out those coming out of prison and those who are underprivileged, teach them trades and help them get jobs. Bill was a big man and had a big heart. And I think in this community, for my time, I don't ever remember going to him with an ask about community where he said no. It was always, he was always able to find a way to do it. Again, just a huge heart, a great asset to this community. He added great value. He passed away last week. I believe it was last Monday. And so I'd like to have us adjourn in memory of Bill Meehan.
And I'd like to, I want to add, Councilmember Chenier, to your adjourn in memory for Bill. Bill was the head of the trades when I first got elected to the council in '92. And man, he was a great political / labor leader. He knew how to fight. He knew how to work with people. He knew how to move an agenda. And he really cared about kids, and he cared about disadvantaged communities. And I learned a lot from him in terms of just how to be tough and decent. I also want to adjourn in memory tonight, if I might. And I know, Jay, you would add to this, and maybe others. A very dear and close personal friend of mine, but also someone who was a treasure to the state of California, Senator Gary K. Hart, representing Santa Barbara for many years, but lived in Sacramento for a quarter century, died of cancer last Thursday. I learned as much or more about politics and life from Gary as any other person I've encountered during my life. Gary was a beautiful human being. He cared deeply about society. He cared about kids. He was the state's leader during his time, not just around the charter school movement, but so much more to ensure that education funding was commensurate with the needs of our children. He was an innovator. He was not afraid to take risks and chances. He was temperamentally kind, considerate, and thoughtful. He was well-read. He always, even during the worst parts of his illness, he always asked about and cared about other people more than his own plight. And so he is going to be missed by so many people, including myself, and I know Councilmember Chenier as well. A good man. I'd like to also adjourn in memory of our friend, State Senator Gary K. Hart.
Daryl, if I could just add one thing very quickly, because I think this is so symbolic of who he was. When he retired from state government, and I worked with him when he was secretary and was in the legislature, I don't know anyone who had more integrity than Gary, or was smarter and did more of the right things for his communities. When he retired, though, when I was on the school board, he came to us and said, we need to do better. I want to start the PACE program at John F. Kennedy High School. And he not only started a program down there, but taught the program, taught curriculum himself, wanting to work with young people and help them do better for public service. So a great man, and he will be missed. And our condolences go out to his wife, Carrie, and his entire family.
Always. Jeff, did you have one final one?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you for your words about Senator Hart. Thank you, Jay. And much appreciated. Yeah, Sacramento lost two greats. I just wanted to say something about Bill Meehan. I currently sit on NCCT and have worked with them for the last number of years. Bill was just a fabulous human being. And you're right, Mayor, he knew how to fight. He knew how to be kind. He knew how to get things across the finish line. I will really miss him. He's a great, great human being, solid Sacramentan, and rest in peace, Bill, and my best wishes to you, Jay.
Thank you, Jeff. If there's nothing else to come before the City Council this evening in memory of Labor Leader Bill Meehan and State Senator Gary K. Hart, we are adjourned.